Hello, we are Group J, and our group decided to do a presentation on developing emotional intelligence in the workplace. Before we get started, here's an outline of what is to come. After much research, here are some major models of emotional intelligence. First, we have the Aune-Barron's Emotional Intelligence Competencies model. It describes emotional intelligence as an array of interrelated emotional and social competencies, skills, and behaviors that impact intelligent behavior. This can be further broken down into the 5 emotional intelligence scale. Then we have the Mayer-Salovey model, which views it as an ability to perceive, understand, manage, and use emotions to facilitate thinking. This is then split into the 4-branch model. However, our group have decided to go with the Goleman's Emotional Intelligence Performance model. The reason is because out of the other models that I've talked about in the last slide, this model talks about how emotional intelligence plays an important role in the workplace. According to Faltas, Goleman's Emotional Intelligence Performance model is an array of skills and competencies that contribute to the performance of managers and leaders in the workplace. It can be further broken down into 4 capabilities, and they are self-awareness, the ability to understand our own emotions and how it have an effect on our performance. Then we have self-management. For example, how do we handle our own emotions during a stressful situation? After that, we have relationship management. For instance, the ability to work in a team to accomplish a set of tasks. And lastly, we have social awareness. Take empathy, for example. Do we have the ability to see things from another person's perspective, and do we know how to respond appropriately to the situation?
To discuss the empirical evidence on our topic of emotional intelligence, I have found several studies that suggest the importance of emotional intelligence in the workplace. For example, in the study Enhancing Employee Outcomes, the Interrelated Influences of Managers' Emotional Intelligence and Leadership Style, aims to reveal the effects of managers' leadership style on the relationship between a manager's emotional intelligence and employees' outcomes of performance, job satisfaction, stress, and organizational commitment. Results revealed that managers' leadership style brings about the relationship between a manager's emotional intelligence and employee job satisfaction. But alternatively, there was no effect of a manager's leadership style on the relationship between managers' emotional intelligence and employees' performance, organizational commitment, and job stress. Emotional intelligence was measured using the Wong Emotional Intelligence Scale, and leadership style was measured using the Multi-Factor Leadership Questionnaire. Another evidence found in the relative importance of psychological acceptance and emotional intelligence to the workplace well-being focuses on physiological acceptance in comparison to the emotional intelligence in terms of their ability to predict well-being outcomes such as mental health, physical well-being, and job satisfaction. Results from this survey given to workers showed that emotional intelligence did not significantly predict any of the well-being outcomes, taking into account acceptance and job control. Furthermore, acceptance predicted mental health and physical well-being, but not job satisfaction. Only job control was associated with job satisfaction. So, overall, these findings indicate that not controlling one's thoughts and feelings may have greater benefits for mental health rather than regulating them. These results directly correlate with emotional intelligence.
A recent study published in the journal Psychological Studies explored the effects of emotional intelligence on team environment and workplace perceptions. 331 managers were sent questionnaires including the Emotional Social Competence Inventory and the Team Climate Inventory. This study found numerous significant findings, including that emotional competence is a predictor of team environment perception, where less competent workers perceive the workplace more negatively. Also, emotional intelligence is a predictor of multiple aspects of a team's functioning, including sales performance, leadership performance, and general mental health and well-being within the workplace. Lastly, that emotional regulation and awareness are predictors of team member perceptions. A separate study, constructed by Richard Boyatzis, published in the Journal of Management Development, coalesces evidence from multiple research papers to formulate an essay on the efficacy of leaders and managers. This essay concludes with supporting evidence that emotional intelligence is a strong predictor of leadership competence across a variety of jobs, with a direct relationship between increased emotional intelligence and increased performance. The final study was published in the Journal of Management Development and analysed the relationship between emotional intelligence and performance in the workplace. Furthermore, the study investigated the differences in predictive level between emotional intelligence and the universal personality traits. The paper found that emotional intelligence is a strong predictor of job performance and that emotional intelligence is a stronger predictor than the universal personality traits.
The case study we have decided to examine is one entitled Strengthening Relationships with EQ at HSBC. This case study is about an emotional intelligence program initiated by HSBC in 2008. HSBC is a large banking organization that has international reach and hires thousands of individuals around the world. With all these people to manage, the company recognized the need to further develop their managers' capacity for people leadership. The final product was called EQBR, short for EQ for Building Relationships, a 2-day workshop aimed at developing their employees' emotional intelligence. There were 2 major focuses for the workshop: for individuals to understand their own emotions and that of other people around them, and to use these emotions to build strong interpersonal connections. Over the 2 days, participants would be taught both theory and practicals of applying EQ to their work relationships. Participants were taught about scientific theories behind EQ and evidence supporting its use, and also taught how to implement the theories and put them into practice with practical tools through deep engagement and active learning. There were 3 major areas of the program: know yourself, choose yourself, and give yourself. Know yourself was focused on participants understanding their own reactions and gaining insight into the way they emotionally react to various situations. Choosing yourself encouraged participants to make more appropriate choices in various situations. Give yourself taught participants to make sure their choices reflected their sense of purpose and their values. As a result of the program, employees were able to become more aware of their reactions and use their newfound tools to build healthy and productive relationships with each other within the organization.
In this section, we will be linking the descriptions given for the abilities to know yourself, choose yourself, and give yourself to the emotional intelligence models listed earlier. These concepts can all be aligned to Goleman's model, as the ability to know yourself exactly describes the requirement for emotional self-awareness, which is the first element of this model. Likewise, choosing yourself is closely linked to Goleman's model, as to make appropriate choices around others, one must display social awareness and empathy, which is another part of the model, in order to be mindful of the needs of their colleagues. Lastly, the Give Yourself criterion combines Goleman's requirements of motivation and self-management, as if an individual is motivated and has the ability to manage their own emotions and goals, they are much better placed to make constructive and purposeful decisions in the workplace. The program also aligns with Bar-On's emotional intelligence model, as the criterion of self-perception is necessary to properly know yourself, just as the criteria of self-expression and interpersonal skills clearly contribute to the ability to choose yourself. The Myers-Solovey model can also be linked to the program, since the branches of emotional perception and emotional understanding are key to knowing yourself, and similarly, in order to choose yourself, one must have the ability to use emotion to facilitate thought, which is another branch of the model.
Lastly, there have been many research and case studies that shows that people who implement the Goleman's emotional intelligence performance model tend to have a high emotional intelligence. This leads to the individual building a better interpersonal relationship with their coworkers, which will result in high teamwork effectiveness. On the other hand, to my knowledge, the model doesn't suggest ways or experiences on how to, for instance, self-manage our own emotions. This makes it difficult for our organization to implement the model in the work environment. In conclusion, nowadays there are many workshops that have implemented the model while also providing the tools needed to help increase an individual emotional intelligence. Hence, I believe organizations should implement the model in the work environment.